Welcome, everyone. This is Liz Christopherson, and I want to thank all of you for joining us today, and I want to thank our guests. We have Judy Mahan, Lorna Whitaker, and Norma Dunn joining us today. We're going to have some really great conversation and information for you, but before we get started, I want to share with you a few other things. So, as I said, I'm Liz Christopherson. I am the owner of Empower Consulting Group. I provide strategy and talent development services for clients all over the world, and locally, I'm excited to provide strategic support for mission community services. I'm also their facilitator and teacher for the Explore Design Launch program. And later in our conversation, you're going to hear about an accelerator program. It's an accountability group specifically designed for small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs. And then, of course, we have a June start for our next Explore Design Launch program. And this is all about helping you restore confidence, helping you think about reinventing and rebuilding, working through those ideas of where you're at right now and how you're going to proceed as we get ready to reopen for business. Later today around 3:30, the county, San Luis Obispo County, is going to be releasing their Reopen for Business guidelines. And so we want to help everybody really get focused on the things we need to do to rebuild a stronger and better, more vibrant business community. So you're going to get more information about that via email soon. And as your sponsor, host, and moderator for today, just want to go over a couple things so you know how to participate. Out of respect for time and each other, just make sure you just limit your distractions and mute your phone. We're recording the session, so if you miss or you have to leave early, not to worry, access will be provided. We are going to take questions by topic as they're discussed. So if you have a question, please type it into your chat box or the question section, and I'll do my best to get those questions to our panelists as soon as I can. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. I'm going to zoom out of my little video here and so that we can focus on our three panelists. And as I said earlier, with me today, Judy Mahan, Lorna Whitaker, and Norma Dunn. So Judy, let's start with you.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. Thank you for having me here today. Great to see everyone. Great to see you, Lorna, Norma. Good to see everyone. Liz, I just sent you an email with a slide deck that I would like to share. I'm not sure if I can share my screen through.
Yeah, I can make you give you screen share. Let me just give me a second while I find you here on the list. You're a presenter, so you should be able to share your screen. Is it letting you do that or no?
I'm not seeing where to do that. So we've been on Zoom.
I'm making you a. Okay, try it again.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you very much. So here is the deck I would like to share with everyone. So I'm here on behalf of the Cal Poly Center for Innovation Entrepreneurship Small Business Development Center. Thank you for having me. For those of you who aren't aware of the SBDC program, we're funded by the SBA. There are about 1,000 SBDCs nationally throughout the US. We represent all local businesses here in San Luis Obispo County. So anyone in the county can contact us, and we're here to provide assistance, guidance, coaching at no expense whatsoever for free. We are funded by the SBA to help support local economic development. In that role, we have been focusing over the last 8 weeks on helping our local business owners get access to the EIDL loan program that was launched by the SBA, the PPP program, the PPP loan pathway, and something I want to highlight today is the SBA Emergency Express Bridge loan as well. So quick updates. The EIDL and the PPP programs went pause last week. The PPP program went back live this week. It's now accessible by banks, by our local lenders. We are seeing new applications being able to be processed this week by our local bankers. EIDL is still on pause. So we know that if there are local businesses who weren't able to get into the first round of EIDL. It's still on pause. We were hoping it would go back live today. It doesn't appear to have gone back live at this point in time. It's noon. We don't foresee it happening at this point, either today, neither over the weekend. So we will be on the lookout Monday morning to see if the portal reopens. We talked to the SBA yesterday. They did tell us that there is a high likelihood it will reopen. They are currently processing all the applicants that were in the queue under the first wave of EIDL applications. Paycheck protection program, they are being processed. We have seen, I will give you some updates on where we're at with the number of loans that have come through over the last couple of weeks and the dollar amounts. For those of you who are banking with a bank that is not an SBA approved lender, we've seen some success through SESLOC that became approved last week, and they've been able to process loans for clients who are seeking a lender to try and submit their PPP application. We still recommend online resources, fintech companies. If you cannot find someone local who's willing to take you on as a new client to process the loan, we've seen success with Cabbage.com, Lendio.com, Intuit/QuickBooks, PayPal, Square, who else? I think those are some of the main ones that are processing loans online for their clients. So these are all really good options as well. The SBA Emergency Express Bridge Loan is anyone who currently has an SBA bridge loan in place. If you already have one that's been approved that you had in place prior to February 15, you can qualify for an Emergency Express immediately. So contact your bank, contact your lender with who you had your original SBA Express, and ask them if you can add on an extension to that with additional funding under the Emergency Express. Let's see, moving right along. We are also helping business owners manage and understand the best strategies to figure out what to do with their workforce, with their employees. Does it make sense at this point in time to lay off your employees to make sure that they can access EDD benefits? And I'll let Lorna, is our expert here today, who can address the details on that. There are numerous programs available under EDD. Or does it make sense to furlough your employee or do work share programs or to encourage them to take paid or sick leave? Depending on, if you've obtained and qualified for a PPP loan, you want to be able to spend that down and you want to maintain your employee workforce because you don't want to lose your talent. But business hasn't quite ramped back up. Maybe it makes sense to put your employees on leave during that time and use your PPP loan that will be forgiven if you use the loan to pay for leave time. So lots of different strategies to Something that's new that came live on April 28th was the PUA program, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. So if you have been laid off as an employee, you can access unemployment benefits through the EDD. It's 39 weeks of benefits plus some additional funding for the first few weeks, an extra $600 a week. That's one program. If you've expired your UI benefits or if you are a sole proprietor, an independent contractor, a business owner who's not an employee of their business, and business has pretty much shut down, you can now apply for EDD benefits under PUA. It used to be that there were no EDD benefits for those categories. Now there is as of April 28th. We have seen the portal has been tricky to access. We've gotten a lot of client feedback that it's been a frustrating experience. However, we have seen success with clients who've been able to either get on after 8 p.m. in the evening or early in the morning before 8 a.m. So that seems to be a good time of day after 8 p.m. before 8 a.m. to try and access the portal at that time. We saw the same pattern when IDLE went live. The portal would shut down. It wouldn't allow you to input information. We're encouraging applicants to just keep trying. The portal does work, but it is definitely overloaded. And just try to pick a better time during the day where it's less likely to have to be jammed up by the amount of people that are trying to get on. We're still in emergency response mode. We have a core task force that is processing all of our client needs right now. We have 10 people on board, pretty much full time, that we've expanded our staff to. And we have also in place some task forces that are available through open office hours. This is all free. You connect with them through Zoom or just through a regular phone call. You can get advice pretty much any time during the week on banking, accounting, HR, e-commerce. If you're a downtown bricks and mortar retail space, we have volunteers from the SLO Downtown Association. They will answer all your questions regarding guidelines on opening back up downtown. What are the guidelines that you need to make sure you are implementing to do your business within the framework and the guidelines that are coming down from the county and from the state level that we need to make sure are implemented as we get ready for reopening. So don't hesitate to contact us for assistance with that. Our contact info is on the next slide. To date, just to give you an idea, we've worked with about 400 business owners in the last 8 weeks. We've processed 150 loans have gone through. We've processed more than 150, but 150 have come through, which represents about $9 million in capital funding, disaster funding. So the loans are happening, they're coming through. It's extremely encouraging. We've seen loans as small as $2,000, $3,500 under PPP for sole proprietors with very, very small businesses. So those small loans are coming through. We saw at least a half dozen in that, small range. And we've seen loans all the way up to approximately $800,000. One of our businesses received funding for $800,000. So that gives you a sense of the breadth of the loans that are coming through. We've had numerous restaurants, I would say at least half a dozen, if not more, obtain loans in the $150,000 range. So these are happening. Don't be discouraged. They're coming through on a daily basis. To contact us, and if you need help, if you haven't yet applied for any of these resources, don't hesitate to email at slosbdc@gmail.com. Again, that's slosbdc@gmail.com right here. And we'll try and help answer questions, guide you through the process, and help you as much as we can. So that's all I have today. I have some, so Liz, I guess based on timing, do you want me to go through some of the guidelines that came out on Monday and give you a few key highlights on PPP?
That would be great, and I also have a few questions here in the chat box for you. So you want to do the guidelines first, and then we'll get to the questions?
Okay, I'll give you a quick update on the guidelines. So reaffirming that when you calculate your loan amount and you submit for PPP, you're looking at your payroll for 2019, average payroll. You look at the 12 months, add up all the 12 months of payroll, divide by 12, and then multiply by 2.5. 2.5 is the maximum amount. What is included? We've talked about this in the past, is a $100,000 limit per employee. If an employee or a business owner is taking draws of more than $100,000, you can only count up to $100,000. But that limit does not apply to non-cash benefits. You can still add on to that, and this is what came out in the guidelines. It was highlighted. You can add on payments made to retirement plans, group health care, insurance, employee taxes. You can add all that on. You can also include leave time for vacation, sick leave, parental leave, family leave, any payments that were made towards that. If you're a seasonal business, you can look at your activity during any 8-week period between February 15, 2019 and June 30th, 2019. And if you can find an 8-week period that maximizes that payroll for you to get the maximum loan amount from the SBA, pick an 8-week period that works for you if you're a seasonal business. Confirming that if you have been convicted of a felony in the last 5 years, you are not eligible for PPP. If you are not in business in 2019, you can still qualify for PPP. You will use your average payroll during between January 1st, 2020 and February 29, 2020. You cannot include in your payroll amount any payments that were made to independent contractors or to the sole proprietor. Those cannot be added into the payroll. Let's see. Payroll is calculated on a gross basis. And there is still a lot of question on the forgiveness piece. I'm not going to go into that. We've received the guidelines on loan calculation, loan amount calculation, and we can share those with anyone who sends us an email. We'll share them with you. We are expecting guidelines to come out on Monday to give us more detailed information on how to maximize the forgiveness of that loan. A lot of rules are going to come out over the next couple of days on how do we make sure that business owners are getting maximum forgiveness for the portion that they're using to pay, the portion of the loan that they're using to cover payroll. There were a lot of questions around forgiveness. We don't have the answers, unfortunately, until these guidelines come out, but they should be coming out at the latest on Monday, and we will be happy to share those. So those are some of the key points I wanted to highlight. And back to you, Liz. Thank you very much.
Okay, great, thanks. So we do have a couple of questions. We just received a deposit. Here's one. We just received a deposit called SBA Treas. I would imagine that's Treasury, and understand it is an advance for the EIDL. Are we still at risk that that loan will not have funds? Sounds like if they got just received a deposit called SBA Treas, and understand it's an advance for the EIDL. Are we still at risk that that loan will not have funds?
No. So if you got the advance, that's a really good sign. Actually, Liz, can we stop the share screen? Is that?
Yeah, just give me 1 second here and we'll do that.
Okay. So to answer the question, if you have gotten the advance, typically that's followed up by an email from the SBA asking you to set up an account with them so that they can then process the actual loan piece. From my understanding, most of the business owners who obtain the advance have also then immediately qualified for the loan. So it's actually a very good sign. We do have, and I will put it in the, is there a chat box? There's no chat box.
There should be a.
Oh, here we go. I'm seeing it. Well, I will share it directly online. Corey Williams is our contact at the SBA to respond to EIDL inquiries. So Corey, COREY.Williams at SBA.gov, Corey.Williams at SBA.gov. If you shoot an email to Corey, he is directly answering questions regarding EIDL. So if you have an SBA application number, your number hopefully begins by the number 3. If it does, you're in really good shape. Send that application number to Corey, and he can check on the status of the loan for you. So that's something you can do to try and follow up.
Okay, cool. So I just typed that address into the chat box, corey.williams@sba.gov, and hopefully that'll get some folks some information. So let me scroll down. It looks like there's some unemployment. We haven't quite gotten to that topic yet. Okay, if your bank has notified you that your application has been processed and approved by the SBA, and they're currently coordinating final documentation and funding, am I now guaranteed to receive that money, or does that still depend on whether or not the SBA gets funds?
You know, I can't answer that. I can't say it's guaranteed. There's no way. It also depends on the business owner providing the adequate backup documentation, it sounds like. You know, it's a good sign. It's extremely positive. There is, you know, an additional $400 billion in funding that was made available. The funding was allocated and expended in pretty much 10 days. The first round was. We're now on day 5 of the new round of funding. So I expect that that funding is going to expire within the next week. Is, you know, if there's a pattern to what we've seen, but there should still be funds available. I mean, we're hoping we can double the number that I reported on our slides. If we can get another, you know, 3 to 5, 9 million would be ideal, but at least another 3 to 5 million into the county, that would be wonderful.
Cool. So just again, to reaffirm for those sole proprietors out there, a sole proprietor can apply for PPP.
Yes, 100%. Yes, yes. Please apply.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like some of the other questions here are related to unemployment. So let me just double check. If I am a sole proprietor and I haven't really paid myself because my business is still young and in the negative, can I still qualify for PPP?
You have to have proof of payroll. So you have to be able to showcase that you took a draw of some sort on your business. You know, if you aren't able to prove that, I would encourage that person to potentially apply for PUA, for pandemic unemployment assistance, with the EDD instead. You can always try and give that a shot. I know Lorna's going to talk to that. And EIDL would help because EIDL covers all expenses. It's a loan to help, you know, it's working capital to help you cover your expenses for your business. So banking on that might be a better bet than PPP at this point. Yeah.
Okay, so here's another one. We were funded for our EIDL loan. I was under the impression by reading the loan docs that I was going to be able to take distributions as needed, but they funded the entire amount. I'm now concerned about the interest that's adding up. Do you know how I can start making my payments? There's no information in the loan docs about where to make payments.
Talk to your lender. All of this, once you get those, oh, is this under EIDL or PPP?
It was EIDL.
EIDL, okay. Gosh, that's a good question. I would have thought there was more process shared once you obtain the loan. I have another, you know, I would have to check with our other clients who obtain their EIDL loans, what processes they're adopting. I know you can benefit from a 12-month deferment on the loan, although I believe the interest still accrues during that time period. You know, Corey is probably a good person to contact. He's the point person for EIDL, so the email that we shared for Corey Williams might be a good resource. Unfortunately, I don't have the information on the process piece. We'll try and find out more. If you send us an email to remind us at slowsbdc@gmail.com, we'll try and find out more and get back to that person.
Okay, great. So that pretty much covers the questions related to EIDL and PPP. So let's switch gears and have Lorna share with us about all things unemployment related. So thank you so much, Judy, for being with us today and sharing your expertise. Lorna?
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. I have my own small business, so I've been helping a lot of clients with their EIDL and their PPP lending. We're having very good success this week. Last week, it looked like none of us were going to get any money, and now we're starting to see them funding. I'm not hearing much success for anybody that's had a big bank, but the smaller banks are really doing an awesome job. And we did go through PayPal for one of mine, and they responded very, very quickly. So, and you basically just ask for it in files, because there still seems to be some money being available. I'm also here for SCORE, which you can see our contact information there. We're also providing free mentoring via video to help you navigate some of this stuff and to help you get your business on track. One of the things I did want to address while I'm here real quickly for the audience is that I'm a financial skills trainer, and I did ask a CPA the question about how do we actually keep track of the money that we receive. And note that you would post it as a loan to begin with, and then if it gets forgiven, it moves over to other income, so that you can have that conversation with your CPA when it comes tax time to know how that's going to be treated. So you're going to have to do your document management, your financial reporting management very carefully with these monies, so that you can report appropriately. So want to talk today about the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. There's been a lot of very interesting results. Some people are still very, very challenged by it. It seems like that there are so many variables for each circumstance. So you have sole proprietors that had no other source of revenue other than their business during the reporting period, which would basically be the end of 2018 through all of 2019. So they didn't have any, they received no W-2s for employment wages. So they are the ones that really should be applying for the PUA through that portal that just opened up on the 28th. The experience that they're having is that the questions can be very confusing. Well, if it's this, this, and this, well, the answer would be yes, but then they add on to the sentence, well, if you had this, like if you were impacted by the COVID, mark no. So they go, okay, one end wants me to answer the question yes, and the other one wants me to answer the question no. The good news is that some of the questions, if you're uncertain how to answer it, just click on the little question mark that's next to the question. There's a little bubble that says questions. So just click on that and see if it gives you good guidance. The other thing is that if you're uncertain, click yes and see where it takes you. You can always back up. Or if it doesn't seem to be the right place, click no and see where it takes you. But you, as a self-employed individual, sole proprietor, however you want to define yourself, you're self-employed, you're not an employee, just look to see if it takes you to a place where the questions make more sense. Because the PUA application portal that opened is for regular employees who don't have any more unemployment benefits available. They also qualify and are able to receive PUA money. And it is for the self-employed individuals who were never employees that can apply for that. So if you're a sole proprietor. The tricky part has been that some people applied prior to April 28th, because that was the instruction we had been given, was go ahead and apply for unemployment because you qualify under the disaster portion of the current circumstances. So some of them had W-2s, so their application for unemployment was accepted. And then they got notices, one saying, oh, you don't have any benefits, but here's a form to fill out, okay? Others got, you have no benefits, you're denied. Okay, so if you got denied, you go to the PUA and you fill out that form. But the question has come up, well, if I filed for regular unemployment, even though I'm a sole proprietor and I had a little bit of wages that had been captured throughout the year, which is a very common circumstance, by the way, very common for people to be self-employed and have some employee wages, W-2s. What we're finding and hearing is that yes, the PUA is being applied to the regular unemployment application. So that's the good news. The best advice I can give you right now is look for something in the mail from them and respond quickly. You've got to look at it, you've got to read it, you've got to reply to it and do what you need to do. There are some people, Mission Community can help you. We're all reaching out to the EDD to find ways to help people that are in a unique circumstance. But the reality is there only seems to be a few variables. One, I was self-employed and I had no W-2 money. I was self-employed and I had some W-2 money. And so those are the two variables, and it depends on how you applied and when you applied, what your other circumstances tend to be. But if you applied under regular UI, it looks like the PUA will be applied to them. That's what I'm seeing. The people who have been contacting me, that's their experience. If you get denied, then go ahead and apply under the PUA, which opened up on April 28th. And yes, Judy's absolutely right. Applying prior to 8 o'clock in the morning, or well, early in the morning, the wee hours of the morning, or after 8 o'clock at night, has been proven to be very, very useful for people. They did the crash, site did crash right out the gate. First it said it was going to be open at 1 o'clock in the morning, and everybody set their alarms and got up and tried, and then they said, oh no, we meant 5:30 in the morning, and people who started applying after 5:30 found that they could get through. So it was a free-for-all. It was. There is another resource, and I will put it into the chat box for everybody. If you filed under the regular UI and received an award notice indicating 0 benefits available, then it asks you to go to the PUA fax link. And believe me, the EDD.ca.gov site is very, very useful. They've got newsletters going out. They've got links in there. Go and do a little research. Read what they say for you to do. Follow their instructions. If it doesn't seem to work the first time, please go back, be persistent, check it out at a different time of day. The systems are being overwhelmed. Then you can also go to some other stuff, another link, and with additional information, and I will put both of those links when I'm complete. I'll put them in the chat box for you. Other than
so
that,
we have a number of,
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say we have a number of questions, so if you're ready for that, that would be great. And Norma, I don't want to forget that you're there. So is there anything you want to add to anything that Judy has shared or Lorna has shared that we can make folks aware of?
I do want to add a few things. Judy had the information again with EIDL, the PPP, and the bridge loan. But we are encouraging everyone as well with Mission Community Services Corporation, the Women's Business Center, to apply because, like Lorna said, everybody has a different circumstance. I'm actually posting the unemployment EDD guide. I found that was useful, and the reason being was because when you look at that guide, they actually tell you if you're going to be applying for PUA, it tells you how to register if you're filing a new claim, how to answer those questions if you're self-employed, and it actually specifically says, for example, if you're a small business owner, independent contractor, self-employed worker, or freelancer, or gig worker, here's how to answer the key questions in this application application form. So it actually takes you side by side on that quick guide. It tells you on the unemployment history screen, when you supply your last employer, select no. So it gives you the step-by-step also. So I would actually have people as well, like Lorna mentioned, is go to the EDD website, and the link is on there specifically for that guide, and follow those directions. And you know, I have people, you know, when they're going through it, put that on the side of the screen and have the application, or if you're applying, have that on your screen on your phone and apply on the computer, so you have that information on what you're going to be applying for and how to go about it. It specifically asks, says questions, you know, if you're on the disaster page, put this. On the availability information place, put this, you know, so it tells you all that information. So look at that first as well, familiarize yourself with that. And it makes it the navigation piece a little bit process, because they're coaching you through that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So let's get to some of these questions. I applied as a sole proprietor for unemployment after the first webinar, but the response back was that everything was $0. I saw on the unemployment page that self-employed should reapply if this happened. Do I need to completely delete the first application?
I don't actually know the answer.
Yeah, I don't think you can, because it's in the system. I don't know. So you might have to open a new claim and do that process, because once a claim is in there, you have to see if they'll allow you to edit it, or I'm not really sure. So I'd have to really refer you to the EDD. But in the directions, it tells contractors, gig workers to file a new claim.
Right, and so I don't know if they actually create a new claim. You might write down your claim number from the original one. What I am seeing is that, and I've walked a couple of people through this, and what I'm seeing that those that applied for the PUA seem to actually be in a regular UI EDD claim file. So I don't know whether, so I don't know whether they link them or whether it's a whole brand new claim. But I would have you go back to your original claim, because I am seeing that they're changing every few hours. That your claim may have already been updated. If you haven't been into your claim online, you don't actually know if it's been updated, if you have new instructions there for you. And really, that's the piece that I think is confusing, because, oh, I got denied or I got $0. And then you go back in and all of a sudden it says, oh, for this claim, you now have X number of dollars, and now they're going to apply the PUA on top of it. So you go back and look and see if any activities occurred on your original claim, and then go ahead and file another claim and follow the directions.
Yeah, and on that link that I sent from the EDD on the guide, it does say the first thing, tips for applying on UI online. It does say everyone, UI, which is unemployment insurance, and the pandemic unemployment assistance applicants use the same form. So you're going to use the same form, go through that process, but there's certain questions that are just COVID related and pandemic related that you have to answer.
Okay, here's another question. I applied under regular unemployment insurance because I had a tiny income from the school district. I got $0. When I reapplied under PUA, it wouldn't let me file a claim because I already had a claim open. After calling the EDD, their only solution was to ask a question on the website, and I still have no response.
So
what
I'm
would
going
you
to
suggest?
say, again, go into your original claim if you haven't been in it, because I've been sitting on Zoom, screen shares, and this is what I'm seeing, is that what wasn't there before is now updated. So you need to go in and look at that, and then see what you can do about it. My concern for people is that the EDD has called in a whole lot of people to help them, and not everybody is well trained in processing the claims. And so everything seems to be handled fairly online, so that's a good news. But the variables are creating a lot of confusion for people. So go back into your original UI claim and see if the PUA has now been added to that.
The other thing that people were having trouble with is it times out. So if you're in there and it times out on you, it's going to shut it down and you've got to go back in there. So it'll save where you left off. But that's the other frustrating part that we see that people are getting, is that times out after a certain time. You're trying to figure out, okay, do I click this or I click that? And you're going back and forth and trying different things, and then it'll time you out. So just, you know, it's a system, and just know that it's going to do that and be prepared for it, and you know, get your information and maybe jot it down, and but like I said, you'll have to go back and it'll where you left off and then pick that up. Sometimes it won't save that information of whatever page you were on, and you have to redo that again. But it is you know, frustrating only but because, again, not only the time allowed to do it, and those people are still thinking, I don't know, do I fit that? Or you're in the information, you're in the little blue bubble, you know, do I qualify? You know, those types of things. So don't be surprised if it does that, but be prepared and be ready to go the next time, and don't let it time out on you again. Mm-hmm.
The persistence is really important, and to watch your mail to see if you received anything. One person got a Bank of America debit card, and she was very frustrated because she was trying to talk to him on the phone and do all this other stuff, and she got into a perpetual menu loop. Try different things. I know it feels frustrating. It feels like it's never going to happen, but the people that are succeeding are finding different ways to approach it. And if you're timed out, or if you didn't complete the information, or one of the things is blank, it will not completely process. So you do need to check back into your account to see what activity there is. And if you don't see anything, this is when you would, I guess you'd try to make a phone call. Try to make a phone call.
And that's the thing.
Here's another question.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to go to the next thing, because there's a lot of questions and I want to make sure we get to as many as we can. I quit my job to start my own business, sole proprietorship, freelance work in the last 18 months. So I believe I cannot apply for the PUA, but would have to go through unemployment insurance. But since I elected to quit my previous job, I don't think I will qualify for UI. Is this the case? What do you suggest for me since I have lost work due to COVID-19?
I would apply first under the PUA. If you have not applied for regular UI, then apply for the PUA. That's where you are protected. So I would just go ahead and apply for the PUA and see what happens.
Yeah,
they will let you know.
Yeah, let them determine it. You apply, but let them determine whether you're going to qualify and for which one, because as Judy and Lorna mentioned, things are changing and things are getting updated. So what may have been under normal circumstances, you wouldn't get unemployment. Under these disaster circumstances, you may. So you don't know, but you have to apply and you know, try and let them tell you.
So next question, how does unemployment work if you're still getting a little bit of income from your business, but nothing near before? For example, I'm a wedding photographer who can now do family sessions, but weddings are postponed. If we got the PPP, do we just report that income for the weeks that we're certifying for with unemployment? So May to June?
So
how does that work?
There were several questions in there. So one is that what happens if once you qualify for unemployment, if you're under the regular UI, you're going to receive every 2 weeks, you're going to receive an update that you're certifying for. Now, some people are getting it in the mail and some people are seeing it online. So you have to, again, you have to check into your account and see whether they want you to certify for the weeks. So then you would report, if you've only made, the question that they ask is have you worked for which you would be paid, but even though you have not received the money? Fine. If the answer to that is yes, then you tell them, they will ask you how much, and your regular UI benefits will be reduced by that amount, but it's not supposed to affect the PUA, which is a flat $600 a week until the end of July. That's if you came through the regular UI platform. If you came through the PUA platform, and that's the only way that you file, then they probably aren't going to ask you the question, but if they do, answer the question accordingly. But you're going to show reduced amounts of money, and it is based on work that you're performing that you haven't been paid. The second question is do I need to report the PPP money? And it's my understanding that the guidelines are saying that you have to basically take your payments in the same fashion as you did prior to getting the PPP money, which means that if you're getting paid every week through your business, then you'd report that money as coming in. It's a tough question. I got it. Yeah, it's tough, but I think that again, you just have to report what you're earning.
And this is where it's really key for the documentation. You know, have a specific digital folder on your computer or a file folder in your desk or someone that's specific to this. So all the correspondence or information that you're getting, it goes in there. The better organized you are about that, should something come up, you have everything together. And that way you can mitigate anything that comes apart that they said, oh, well, what about for this week? Well, you'll have it ready. You'll have it there. So again, all of these resources are available to small business owners and sole proprietors and gig workers, independent contractors. But again, ultimately, it's the business owner's responsibility to make sure that they have their files together, because they're not going to ask, they're not going to say, oh, can you send this? You need to, when they need something, they're going to want you to send it. And the better organized you are about that, the easier it is going to be for you, and you won't be frustrated.
So regarding the PUA, is there a cap to what you can be earning per week to be eligible?
I don't know. I had not heard that. No, I had not heard that there was a cap, that it was designed to provide funding for the self-employed because they knew that you were going to be impacted.
Right.
But here's the thing: if you have not been financially impacted, why are you applying? Okay, why are you applying? Because they're looking to provide resources for people that have been impacted.
Yeah, so a couple more questions and then we'll hear from Norma before we wrap up quickly. I applied for unemployment for self-employed through the California EDD. Is that the same place to apply for PUA?
Yes. The EDD?
So when did you apply? The PUA did not open until April 28th, and it was different form. If you applied prior to April 28th, then it really depends on what your particular circumstances were, what happened with that. And that's why I say go back to your claim and see what's happening on it. If there's nothing happening on it, go ahead and apply for the PUA through the PUA links.
If you're self-employed, how do you answer the unemployment questions that ask if you're actively searching for work or if you're willing and able to work full-time?
Yes. It's a yes question. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a yes question.
And then here's another, this is really a good one. What is the average amount of time you have to wait to get an answer about if you will get money from the PUA?
I don't know, but again, check your account every single day, because we're seeing these updates happen very quickly. And if you got in and got your application through, Norma, I don't know if, are people receiving emails about them? Do you know if that's happening?
They, again, once they file their claim, they're getting the email showing the confirmation and the claim number, and then the information comes via the mail. But you have to hold on to that claim number, because that's the proof that you registered, and that's your claim number. So if something comes up, that's what they're going to ask you for, is that claim number. But as far as the timing, again, it's all depending on how you applied and the questions that you answered, and the information they're going to send to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and you talked about checking your account on a daily basis, even with the EIDL or the PPP or the unemployment. The unemployment, again, they do have the Bank of America card, debit card that they send you, and all the funding is on that card, so you have that. But the other ones with EIDL and PPP, I've had some clients have the money just shows up. Like earlier, the person said the money's just there, and so they check every day, and they have it applied when it first came out, and the funding is just barely coming through, and that's because of the second wave of capital funding that they just did. But the thing is you have to check, because you don't know, and it's something that it's new to everybody, and so that process is, but you have to do your due diligence for your business and check it on a daily basis to find out, whether you're getting that or what the situation is. Check for emails, check for contact information, all that. You're your best advocate on that.
Right. Yeah, you have to, so you provided your bank account information, and so now the money is just being wired in or direct ACH transferred in. It's coming in different ways depending on which entity is sending it to you. And I don't know what the recourse is if you don't see anything with when you've applied. I would say probably 3 days, but I will tell you that it was 10 days before she heard anything. Okay, 10 days before she received anything. And one, I know also that they indicated that they had sent a payment, and it was already 5 days when she asked me about it. And all I can say is that we're still seeing this really sluggish response by mail.
Yeah.
So 10 days is
Okay,
not.
So before we go any further, I'd like to thank you, Lorna, and just give Norma a few minutes to provide any additional information or thoughts you have regarding to the things that both Judy and Lorna have shared, and the experiences that you're having with the clients that you're working with.
Well, and thank you very much for that, Liz. Again, Norma Dunn, Deputy Director for the Kern Women's Business Center. So Mission Community Services Corporation focuses on women, minority, low-income, and veterans. So we help with technical assistance training, and we do also help our male clients as well. So we don't discriminate. But what we're doing here in Kern County, again, when it comes to being COVID related, is not only helping with EIDL, PPP, the unemployment, but we actually have a webinar next week, next Wednesday on the 6th, for the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. So small businesses, how are you dealing with the coronavirus leave of absence? How are you dealing with those types of things? So that webinar we're hosting next week with the California Employers Association. So we're collaborating with them. So this is an additional aspect of how this is affecting small businesses. So we want people to understand that they have not only the finance part of it, but now the people, right? How are you dealing with your employees? And if they have to care for a loved one who is ill, or their kids are home and they have to take care of that. So those are the things that we're addressing at the Kern Women's Business Center. We're partnering with other agencies so that we can provide these trainings. So the pivoting, we're working with the community colleges, and we're doing Google training. How do you get your Google online, your business online, and know what that's going to work and how that's going to help you. So a lot of those resources is what we're doing. So you can go to the Mission Community Services Corporation, and I see it's a little bit cut off on your screen, but you can go to our website at www.mcscorp.org/Kern. That's ours, and MCSC Corp is just the regular San Luis Obispo office. So again, either one of us and our phone numbers. But what we are here to help, not only like I said, with EIDL, with PPP, with helping guide through that process of unemployment. Our business consultants are working with that. Again, government contracting, technical assistance training. How do they rebrand? What are they going to be doing now that they were used to doing business one way, and helping them to pivot to another? A lot of that is what we're working with, and a lot of the calls that we get are just that. You know, I have to do something different, or maybe I'm going to start a new business because now I see what's going on. We see a lot of. I just talked to again a funding opportunity that before this call, and I told her, I said, some of our solopreneurs where it's just the one person, and they're going, so all of a sudden now because of the environment, they're making face masks. So they're going from selling jewelry to now making face masks and selling face masks online. You know, what is that going to look like? So different things like that, and really kind of impacting. The other thing here in Kern County on that note is I would like everybody who's on this call to really look at your resources. Mission Community Services Corporation, both on the San Luis Obispo side and on the Kern side, if you go to the website, we have resources. We have a COVID resource page, and on there's even grants. I mean, Spanx was giving out grants. So we have a list of some grants that we've been made aware of that are out there for our small businesses. We are going to be working with the city of Bakersfield and providing small grants to small businesses with less than 5 employees, and some that are, let me look at my notes because I just got off that phone call, and some that are less than 25 employees. They're looking at a grant of $5,000. They're looking at additional grants up to $50,000. So these, look into your local communities to see what grants are available to you other than these other options. Yes, they're great, but it doesn't end there, and that's not all that's out there. So you need to look at all your resources, and by all means, go to the Mission Community Services Corporation website, and I know SCORE has some resources as well, and so does the SBDC, but we're really focusing on helping the client where they're at now and what additional resources are available to them. If it's not EIDL, maybe it's a grant. If it's not a grant, it's something else. And all these different communities and counties are receiving COVID-related funding, and they are looking to distribute that in their communities. So definitely look into what you've got in your county and your city. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lorna and Judy and Norma. We really appreciate what you've shared, and there's a lot of really good information out there through the resources that hopefully you see on your screen. I apologize, apparently the screen went blank at one point, but we've got the information back up. So I want to repeat it so that everybody hears it, and then I have a quick wrap up. So SCORE is sanluisobispo.score.org. You can certainly check out their website and get in touch with them that way. The SBDC has an email, slowsbdc@gmail.com. And then Mission Community Services, there's the info@MCScorp.org, which goes to the San Luis Obispo office. And then in Kern, it's kwbcinfo@MCScorp.org. So take advantage if you're unsure of the action to take or the things that you need to accomplish. There are lots and lots of resources in our community that will help you get where you need to go, have the information ready to apply for the different sources of funding that are out there and that are available. And one of the things that I want to piggyback on that Norma said, industry-specific grants are being made available as well. I work with a number of clients in New York, and there's some major corporations in the restaurant and the food and beverage industry who are providing grants to restaurants, barkeepers, waiters, dishwashers, all kinds of things out there. So you might also look at your industry to see what grants are being made available that are specific to your industry. So I want to leave us with this really good thought. Fear only has the power we give it. and Hope actually works the same way. So as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I'm partnering with Mission Community Services. We have an accelerator accountability group forming now, and if you'd like to be a part of it, there's an email that's going to go out. We invite you to join us. We also have the Explore Design Launch program restarting on June 9th. That's a new group, and it will be a live virtual program. This is really designed for small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs. We want to help you restore your confidence, reinvent and rebuild, work through where we're at right now, and get ready to reopen. We're ideally, the best case is that we're all going to be busier than we were before, that we're going to rebound and be much stronger and much better, and we can do that together. I know it might seem unrealistic with so much feeling of uncertainty and feeling like you're out of control and that things are beyond your decision-making capability, but don't let that stop you from plotting the course that's what's next for you. What you start today is going to bear fruit. And in these programs, I'm going to share my experience creating a 7-figure global consulting business with a work-from-home model. So I'm going to close with this story because I have an adorable little granddaughter who's far away from me, and it's one of the things that we've shared recently. In the movie Monsters, Inc., the kids' screams are harnessed as a natural resource that powers the monsters' lives until they meet a precocious little girl who doesn't seem afraid at all. In fact, she just laughs. You see, monsters and fear work the same way. They only have the power we give them. We lose sleep creating these dreadful scenarios, imagining horrible outcomes, allowing our fear to fill us with anxiety and stress. And really, we wake up to a brand new morning. Giving into hope instead of fear creates space to allow, to muster a grin, knowing that fear is a story we tell ourselves. And we can change the ending of that story. We can create an ending where we succeed. Remember, you are the hero of your story. So we invite you to join us, to reclaim your confidence, your power, and your vision. Together, we'll create a new story where we all succeed. So thank you again, everyone, for being with us today. I appreciate the time and the energy and the effort of our panelists. On behalf of Mission Community Services, the Small Business Development Center, and SCORE, go out and make it a great day. And remember, we're all here to help you do the things you need to do to move forward. All you need to do is pick up the phone and give us a call or send us an email. Take care, everyone.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.